Is Gabe Tardio the best player in the world? He might be right now.
I don't know.
He might be. If you told me I had to pick one person, I think he might be at the top of the list.
I don't know. I'm a 3.0 player, so I couldn't tell you.
For now, 4.2.
Right, stop.
You earned that 4.2.
It's blood, sweat, and tears.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and today we have Ryan Lopez sitting in as our co-host. What's up, Ryan?
What's up, everyone? How are you? My name is Ryan Lopez, as Brian just mentioned.
Yep.
Very happy to be on board.
That's it, man. So we got Ryan in the house, and he's going to be sitting in with us for the foreseeable future. And I just want to apologize to everyone out there because this is the first pod that you'll see from us. Gosh, I'd say it's probably been 5 or 6 weeks, and I've been missing this tremendously. So today we want to break down a little bit about the PPA Tour, what's been going on, some mid-season breakdowns of who's playing really well, who do we think will finish the year out quite well, some of the top teams in all of the different areas, whether it be mixed doubles, men's doubles, women's doubles, singles, etc. And finally, or I guess first and foremost, we want to learn just a little bit about you, Ryan, because I know the listeners, they haven't seen you.
Like, who is this guy?
I just met you recently, so I'm going to learn something today too. So where are you from? How did you get into pickleball? Why do you love it?
So originally, I'm from South Florida, born and raised in South Florida in Palm Beach County. My girlfriend and I moved up here about 2.5 years ago from Orlando. She finished nursing school, so she got a position out here, so I was in love with her. I joined her, we're still together. Everything's amazing.
Winning.
Yeah, that was perfect. So, like I said, I'm Florida born. Grew up playing tennis. I did USTA for, 10 years. Traveled Florida with my sister, played high school tennis as well. And one of the first person I met here in Virginia, we met each other and she was like, oh, like you play tennis. Like, you should play pickleball. Everyone's playing pickleball. And I was like, oh, come on. I was a tennis elitist.
So had you heard of pickleball in Florida? You had to have heard of it before.
I heard of it once. So
okay.
my friend and I, like I said, I was in Orlando at the time. We would play tennis at Lake Nona. At Lake Nona, it's the USTA National Campus.
Okay.
So we'd play there almost every single weekend. That was the first time I saw pickleball. They had a pickleball event going on there. I saw Ben Johns and Annalie Waters playing.
Oh, wow.
So we just did a 2-hour session playing tennis. So we heard this pickleball thing going on. We heard this stupid noise in the background. I was like, what the? So, we go over to the grandstand court just to check it out. And I was like, this is the number one player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, come on.
And you're like, come on, I can play with this guy.
I was like, what's going on here? This can't be the best player in the world. And he was playing with Annalie Waters. I don't know if it was like an exhibition event going on or something, but I was like, oh God, like it's fun. It's
okay. So that's your first little taste of pickleball, and
cool.
You did the elitist tennis thing, and you put your nose up at it.
Yeah, like it's whatever. Like it's okay, whatever. It's pro pickleball. I guess it looks cool. It is what it is.
Okay.
So I move out here to Virginia. My friend tells me, it's like, hey, my friends and I, we picked up pickleball this year. You should try it out with us. We're gonna get some dinner afterwards. So at first I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play this pickleball thing, and meet some new people, kind of see what it's about. I didn't have any friends at the time here in Virginia, so I was like, okay, well,
yep.
I can't say no. I have to meet new people. I have to get out of my comfort zone. So I buy a paddle at Target. It was aluminum.
Okay. Wow. What year was this? When did you pick it up?
I think this was 2022.
Okay. So there were actually good paddles out there he could have bought. He was being cheap.
Yeah, no, literally. It was like two. I think it was a pack. It was like, I think $30. So I got a paddle for my girlfriend and I.
Yep.
It was aluminum paddles, and they just had this like nasty clunking sound. So
wow.
I played at Lubber Run out in Arlington, Virginia. It was the first time I played pickleball, and I came from a tennis background. So my first thought process is I'm holding it like a Western forehand. Like the paddle face is just completely shut. So it's the way Kwong holds it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had a Western forehand. I'm playing at this indoor rec center, and I was just crushing the ball.
And I got to imagine that paddle had no grit on it whatsoever.
No, it was no grit. It was so smooth.
So the ball was just like sliding off the face of the paddle.
But that was my first experience playing pickleball. I was just lighting it up at this rec center against these like old people. I was like lighting it up against the people I just met, and I was just like, "Oh, this is too easy." I was like, "What is this?" So I was just having fun. We went out to dinner afterwards. It was a good time. So that was my first experience playing pickleball for the first couple of weeks. So I did that for, a couple months. It was just to meet new people and just hang out afterwards. Mm-hmm. And then after that is like, this is where the obsession with pickleball started to, kick in. Randomly one weekend, I just wanted to go out and play. It was the weather was great outside. My friends weren't available. So I was like, you know what? I hear a lot of people talking about this Walter Reed place, and, let me check it out.
Okay.
So I go out to Walter Reed. Same thing. I'm just tearing it apart on the tennis court side.
Okay.
And they were like, oh man, you should go to the basketball courts at Walter Reed. Like, there's some really good guys over at the basketball courts. I was like, all right. So I, check it out on the basketball courts. I'm talking to some people, and they're like, have you played any tournaments? Like, do you know what your rating is?
You're like, I'm the best.
Yeah. So I read the rating sheets like online, and I told these guys straight up, I was like, yeah, I think I'm like a 4-5, like 5-0 player. So I mean, I read it, and it was just like 4.5. I was like, okay, can hit forehands and backhands consistently.
Yeah. Can
serve deep into the court. Can mix up, cross court, down the line. Can dink in the kitchen. I was like, I can do all this.
Yeah.
Like,
no problem.
Did it. Like I did all of it.
As long as Betty Joe's hitting a softie right to you, dude, you're like, man, no problem.
I played there for 1 hour, and I think I got body bagged like 10 times. And I was just like, yeah, good stuff, guys. Great meeting you. Yeah. Went back to my car, cried. That was so humbling. I was like, okay. Like, I was third shot drive, fifth shot drive, seventh shot drive. I was like, nothing is getting past these guys. Uh-huh. And I was just like, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, there's another layer to the game, that I'm not understanding. Like, all this driving stuff made sense with like lower rated players, but now I'm playing these guys, and I'm like, I'm just out here getting smoked. Mm-hmm. Like, I was hitting returns and just like hanging back at the baseline.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like not moving up. I would like move up to the kitchen line, then I would just like back to the baseline.
Yeah, that's a solid 4-5-5-0 move.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, when I left, these people were probably like, this guy's a chump. It was so embarrassing. I was like, oh my goodness, it's terrible. So I didn't go back there for a couple of months. But then when I went back there, I started to adjust my game a little bit. I started to, hit some drops, resets, started dinking in the kitchen. And then I was like, okay, I can keep up with these guys a little bit more now. I'm still getting smoked, but I can actually hang in for a little bit. Okay. It's not as bad as it was a couple months back.
So did that initially cause you to love it right away? Like, oh my gosh, I could get competitive with these guys. Like, there are more layers to this game than I thought.
100%. Like I said, I grew up playing tennis. There was always a competitive edge about me. I loved, going out to USTA tournaments. I loved playing high school tennis. Mm-hmm. All that stuff was, things that I was like, really passionate in. So once these guys, they told me, they're like, yeah, you can actually, like, you don't have to be a pro to, play tournaments. Just check out pickleball brackets. I got his number. He sent me the link to pickleball brackets. And that's when I started finding all these tournaments, within the DMV area. And I was like, wait, hold on. Like I can compete, not at a pro level. Yeah. It's, it's levels and tiers, by age and, skill division. I was like, I can go back to competing. Yes. This is something that I really enjoyed. This is something that I loved. And that from there, like, I was like super hooked right off the bat. I can go back in a competitive atmosphere. It's not tennis anymore, but it's, I'm in my tennis shoes. Yeah. Similar to a tennis court. I can still slide. I can do all these, dynamic, tennis movements, which made me feel comfortable. Okay. I just got hooked immediately. Well,
the funny thing is, I remember I remember my first tournament and how I felt in that tournament, and the butterflies in the stomach, and like, how am I going to compare to these guys? Exactly. Did I sign up for the right level? and ended up, I won 3-0 gold singles. Yeah. Sick. The first time, and I was like, dude, this is great. I had so much fun, and I was exhausted at the end of the day. I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to get better at this game. I want to compete, and it gives me that outlet. And I was pretty psyched.
No, it was amazing. I was talking to the guys, and I was like, so what do you think I should sign up for? And they're like, definitely not 4-5. And I was like, okay. I was like, I know that now. So my first tournament was at Pickleballers. I did a 3.5 singles event. And then I think after a couple weeks, it got into Duber, and I was like, man, I'm a 3-0 player. Oh my God. It's like, it was like so embarrassing. So for the next couple months, like, I wasn't telling anyone about that. Mm-hmm. So when people would ask me, it's like, oh, what's your rating? I was like, don't ask. Yeah. It was like 3-1, 3-2. I was like, oh, for the love of God. I was like, I can't believe it.
So the real question is, have you got that rating up at this point?
Yeah. So I got it up to a 4.2. Okay. So I'm like, okay.
There we go.
Finally, after a year of struggle.
Yep. There we go.
Got it up to a 4.2, but thank God.
That's amazing.
I think there's obviously still some ways to go. You know, I've played with some of the 4-5 and 5-0 guys in the area, and it's nice to know that I can hang in with them.
Yeah.
You know, I can win some games from time to time, but I'm not going out there looking like a fool for the most part. Like, I know what to do.
Okay.
Like, I know what's a bad shot. I know what's a good shot. Like, I can at least, you know, just hang in there and keep it, you know, somewhat competitive. So,
And I found you at our local new club, the Tyson Pickleball Club.
Yes.
And that's where you're working now, right?
Yes, I'm currently the assistant director of pickleball over there.
Okay.
At Tyson's Pickleball Club. So shout out to my boss, Paul Lambers, on our owners and
What's
founders.
up, Paul?
Tarlika and Mark. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you've decided to kind of head into this pickleball thing, like jump in with 2 feet, right?
Yeah, no, it's so fun. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also working through Fairfax in Arlington County with Bounce Boom Racket Sports. You know, doing that part-time as well, teaching.
Sweet. And now you're doing this, and you're really busy.
Yeah, exactly. No, my schedule is like so full. If you like my calendar with my girlfriend's literally just pickleball.
Yes.
And she's like, what about us? When are you going to hang out with me? I was like, I'm so sorry. It's like, I'll cancel some stuff. I was like, trust me, don't worry. Like, you know, we'll always have time together.
No, your answer to that is I bought you a racket. Pick it up.
Yeah. Well, thankfully she plays too. Oh, thank God. No, she loves pickleball.
Okay.
It's funny. So she saw me playing pickleball like almost every single day. And then she was like, you know what, let me check out this pickleball thing. Now she's hooked on it as well.
Love it.
So she's playing her first tournament this weekend. So, you know, best of luck. She's playing over at Beaverton Lifetime. I'm going to be, you know, keeping up with the scores.
Okay.
You know, on pickleball brackets, as well as, you know, live text updates. So, you know, we'll see how she does.
We'll have to have a follow-up next week. See what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if she'll let me talk about it. So we'll see.
Well, Ryan, we're stoked to have you here, man.
Appreciate it.
I think the pod is something that is really fun. We get to talk pickleball. And it's one of my passions in life now. I've been playing for 4 years. And, you know, it's something that you can get better at every day, every week. It's something that it will expose your flaws. It challenges you mentally. And it's just such a great game. So I'm really psyched to be here and to talk about this stuff.
Thanks, man. I'm really excited about it. But it's so true, too. I mean, it's just little things. Like the higher level players I played, you know, because when I first started playing pickleball, I used the one-handed backhand. And then as I moved up in skill level, I see everyone using this two-hander. And I just kept getting body bagged with this two-handed backhand. Like, I think they're going, you know, cross court dinking, and then they just pull one up the line at me. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So now I started using a two-hander. I'm like, and it just took a week. Yeah. And now I have a two-handed backhand. I'm like, oh man, I love the sport.
Yes.
It's just.
Now the question is, can you use it in a high level game? I've been working on my TUI for like 18 months, and I have moments of absolute greatness with it, and I have moments of that thing should not be used.
Yeah, well, in like at the 4-0 level, I'm like, oh man, this thing's hitting.
Yeah.
And then at the 4-5, I'm like, I don't know if that was the right shot.
That's fair. That is fair. And we're really blessed in the DC area to have. I mean, we were thinking about it the other day. We probably have 100 plus like solid 4-5 players in this area that you can connect with, and you know, DC metro area is really spread out. And if there's some local players out there listening, you can tell us kind of where you play and where the best players play around there. I'd love to hear that. But what's really neat is between Arlington, Manassas, Tyson's, like the area kind of we're around, there's just a lot of high level play.
Absolutely.
And as long as you don't act like an ass or play like an ass, you can stay in those groups.
Yeah, you have a good attitude with you. You know how to, you know, lose, you know, like a good sport.
Yeah.
You're going to get invited everywhere. Like, people are going to want to play with you.
That's right.
Sure, hands down.
That's right. Well, dude, I haven't had a pod in a while, so we're going to talk about, to start off, just some of the stuff that's happened this summer.
For sure.
Some stuff that I really wanted to recap. The first thing on my list is just all the shitty line calls that we have had this whole summer, and that between MLP, between PPA, it just has been hook central. And finally, the PPA has announced that they're going to do something, which is being implemented this weekend at the PPA Atlanta. So what is your take on the different line calls? And I guess the question I would have is, with this implementation, does it feel like it's a little more professional to you? Does it seem, is it going to make it's got to make the game better, right?
It has to. Like, if you're going to play at a professional level, I feel like there has to be, you have to use like some sort of like technology to get the correct line calls, right? Like, I get it from a recreational standpoint. You're not going to have Hawkeye. You're not going to have all these video replays. But if you're out here playing for a living, you're bringing home checks, you have sponsorships to take care of, to maintain these sponsorships, you have to get the calls right.
Yeah.
I think it was in the final yesterday with for the women's final. There was like a terrible line call towards like I think the end of the fourth game
with Anna Bright and
exactly.
and Rohrbacher.
Yeah, Rohrbacher. I think one of them like hit one, just like slammed one like right up the middle. They called it out and they had like video replay, and I think it was like inside line.
Oh yeah,
it was a terrible line call by Annalie Waters. I think for pickleball to really move to the next level, it's going to require, some sort of electronic like line calling.
Yeah,
just something a bit more professional versus players just calling their own line calls. I know there's been a lot of controversy with like Salome Davidzi with her own line calls. I mean, I'm not sure what the whole story is. You just see it all over Instagram. You see it on YouTube as well, just like looking at all the replays and whatnot. But for pickleball to be, taken to the next level, to really get the respect from, all these other racket sports, something has to be done with like electronic line calling.
Yeah. Well, and I think
not just
even
players making their own line calls. If I'm down in a game, it's close, out. Come on. Like,
well, that's what drives me crazy is like in the amateur rank, and you see it, and it's happened to me again and again. Yeah. There's some local guys, I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are, that when you're tight in a game, all of a sudden that really good serve at 0-0 where I was painting the lines on the back is just getting called out. And I'm like, dude, I saw that. I know that wasn't out.
Yeah.
I was like, come on. I'm all the way across the court. But you can't really challenge it if there's not a referee. It's one of the most frustrating things. Yeah. And I can only imagine how it feels for a pro player who's potentially playing for millions of dollars. Yeah. By the way, like Ben Johns came out over the summer and said he was making $3+ million playing pickleball. That's insane.
Yeah, like at that point, like just get the call right. Like, from what I understand, you have the money and you have the technology to do it. Then just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just like you have to get the correct line calls. If you're playing for that type of prize money, you're playing for the sponsorships and the fame, the recognition, everything that comes with pickleball. It can't just be the players, making their own line calls and making their own decisions and completely changing, the course of the match.
Yeah. Well, and when you're a tour like PPA and MLP, and there's so much money coming through there's no excuse not to have that in. So really excited for PPA MLP to do the right thing. They've got their new line call system in. It seemed like it worked really well this weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about any egregious hooks or things that people got away with. So that's a win on that. The other thing that is being cracked down on crazy is the serve, which sort of pisses me off, but I was also the guy when the chainsaw serve came out that I was like, oh, that's a great idea.
I love it. Just keep ripping it.
Dude, and that was only because I could put so much topspin on the ball and hit it so hard. Right. People were not happy with my serve at the time. So it was advantageous to me. But at the same time, I think that if we're going to create a spectator sport as what the league is trying to do, you need something that looks dynamic, that looks athletic. And when you got a guy like Deckelbar or Kwangdong just ripping serves in and then following it up with great drives, I think it looks really good on TV. And there's been studies done that say essentially the return of serve isn't that hard, even if they're ripping it.
Yeah.
So they're not missing a much higher percentage of their returns based on the serves. Yet the PPA and MLP want to consistently try to crack down on it with more crazy rules. They changed it up again this past weekend. What's your thought on the serves and it being used advantageously as a weapon?
Yeah, I feel like just there's I don't know. They're making changes to the whole serving rules. I feel like it's like every single week. You're already at a disadvantage because of the double bounce rule, right? So just keep the serve, as it is. Again, it keeps things entertaining.
Yeah.
I think pickleball in general, I think I speak for a lot of people, it's not exactly it's not exactly the greatest, spectator sport. So if we're trying to, halt the servers and stop the servers from, having dynamic serves and just applying all this, power, pace, and spin to it, I feel like we're just taking away from all the potential viewers that we could be getting, in the near future. It's just tough. And it doesn't help too that the name is pickleball. We have all this terminal like dinking, the kitchen, Ernie, and Bert. Yeah, it's just like, come on.
Yeah, but there's silly things in other sports too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say that I'm not mad that they're trying to implement new things. I think because the sport is so young.
It's so young. Yeah,
it's okay to try new things.
They're
right?
testing things out.
Yeah.
Right.
What I don't want to see is them taking the athletic prowess of the top pros away. And I don't think the serve is a place where they need to continue focusing. So we'll see if PPA sort of figures that out as we move forward. I got to imagine, there is a group of players that is supposed to be of counsel to the league. And I wonder what that group says to them. I mean, because not many people are upset about the serves. It seems that way to me, watching from the outside in. So, the PPA, if you're listening, if anyone's out there, I would love to hear from that group of players and see what they think so that we can just move forward past this.
Yeah. I remember when they were implementing some of the new service rules, I think earlier this year at the Masters, they had like slow motion videos of like Ben just like slightly lifting the ball up. I was like, oh, come on.
Yes. Well, what's funny is I found, so I changed my serve when they implemented it where you had to drop it from your waist and you couldn't raise your arm. I started trying to do that just to see, how does it affect my serve? Because people have said I have a really good one. I hit it hard. And I actually found that by dropping it a little lower, it caused me to crouch down more. I was hitting it harder from that position. So that is kind of how I serve now moving forward after driving. So, their little rules are interesting, but it's not going to take away the ability of a player to figure out how to hit it hard.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, you're going to figure out, you're going to make the adjustment. You're going to make the necessary adjustment. Yeah, exactly. It's not going to hinder, these like top athletes.
Okay.
From stopping and like, hitting the ball hard, and just making it competitive. Yep. It's just the fact that they have to make that adjustment. Now it's just like, okay, like now I got to spend a couple more hours like in the lab trying to figure out, how am I going to, work with this new, service adjustment and see what works. That's it. It's not bad. It's just going that extra mile to, please everyone.
Well, and happy. The other thing I would say is that it seems like their implementation is like right on the spot. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing, but you can't have pros showing up to tournaments and then telling them that the rules have changed today. Yeah. Or you can't play with this paddle today when that's the only paddle they have in their bag. And there's been multiple instances of that. So, I think the league is getting better, but there's still some growing pains going.
Of course. And you mentioned it earlier too, that it's so young. They're going to make mistakes, unfortunately. But, with these mistakes, it's like, it's learning lessons. Yeah. So they're only going to get better. It's unlike some of the ATP or the WTA. They've been established for, for decades. Yeah. So
and they're still fighting about things.
Yeah, they're still fighting about things. But for the most part, they have everything pretty much under control, right? Yeah. The PPA, MLP, APP, they're going to get things settled, little by little. But like you said, they're so young. They're exploring so many avenues, trying to, make as much money as possible, trying to please everyone, not just the players, but, the viewership as well. Trying to make it, accessible to everyone and just keep everyone interested and, entertained.
Agreed. The other thing that we've missed is, and I really desperately wanted to talk about, the top player in the sport, Mr. Ben Johns, and his brother Colin. They have they've had quite a, let's just go with a rough year. They have been getting whooped left and right. They are no longer dominant. And through that, their bad attitude has come through over and over and over again. Now, mostly in MLP, but there was even an instance this weekend that we'll talk a little bit about where Ben loses to Grayson Golden 11-5 in the round of 32, round of 64.
Like, 32 or 16 or something like that. Like real early, very uncharacteristic of him.
And as opposed to digging deep and figuring out what to do, he pulls himself out with an ankle injury and then finishes the weekend. Now, Anna Lee had a similar situation a couple of weeks ago. Is this the type of person that we want our number one player to be? I mean, it doesn't seem like a good look. Like there's not a lot of fight and just like, I'm just going to walk away. This is exactly cool.
Not a lot of fight, not a lot of grip, but you know what? I'm going to play men's and mix and just beat the brakes on everyone.
Yeah. Now he did get gold in the others, but exactly. I mean, come on. I just don't think it's a good look. The other thing is Colin came out with a full rant. That was or was not supposed to be released. The long story short is it got released. We all read it. Didn't come off very well. Seemed very whiny to me. Yeah. And a lot of the points that he made just were kind of moot points in the end. That the best player in the world gets stuck playing with the worst. That's on your team owner. He could have bid at any point to spend more money and decided not to and pick up all the rest of his players in round 4. It's bit him in the ass. And if you guys want to go back to my MLP preview back in March when the draft came out, I believe that this guy right here said that their team was going to struggle because even if they're winning every match, their ladies are losing every match, and it's constant dream breakers. And then Colin doesn't like the dream breakers because he doesn't want to play singles.
Yeah, they're just not. In the dream breaker too. Then you have Ben, that obviously he's the best singles player.
Yeah, was the best singles player.
I mean, okay,
Staxer is legit, bro.
I mean, yeah, and he's also lost to him the last couple of times.
I still think that in the singles world, he was the best player. Oh, and we'll see if he finishes the end of the
Dylan
year.
Is the number one doubles player over Ben?
No, I don't.
Okay, I don't think Fed is over. I don't think Fed is number one over Ben.
Yeah, but I think there's a group. There's like 5 guys every week that can win men's singles.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, and it used to be Ben would walk out there and go, "I'm gonna wipe the floor of pretty much everyone on the court."
But I think at the end of the day, if I want to beat anyone on the court, it's going to be Ben.
Yeah.
If I have to beat any one player on the PPA, I don't care if he's not the number one player in the world. If it's Fed, I want Ben. Yeah. Like, he's the head of the snake. I want Ben.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I'm sure that a lot of guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like I want to. It's kind of like if you were playing football and you're like, I'm playing Tampa Bay. I want to beat Brady. It's like you want to beat the GOAT so that you have that in your resume and be like, yeah, I beat him a couple years ago. No problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way that they've handled it and the way that they've acted in MLP has been really, really, disappointing.
Yeah, it's tough to watch as a viewer too, because I like Jessie Irvine as a player, and just like watching her have to like deal with that, and just like even like when the girls are out on the court, they just don't even look interested. They're not cheering for them. They're kind of just like pacing along the sidelines. The heads are down, kind of just like this for the most part, just moping.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like the best look. Again, you're the number one player in the world. You're the face of the sport. You can't, you like, even in the face of adversity, you have to, keep your head up high.
Absolutely.
And it's just not the best look for sure.
And to further that, I said that if they came into it with a good attitude, we're there to play and we're having fun with it, I think their results would be far better because you got Gabe Tardio a month ago or so who went to the finals with Jessie Irvine.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, come on. So
and they won.
That's exactly
they won gold.
Right.
Exactly.
And so Ben should be able to win with her if he's the best player in the world, right?
Right.
So that takes that excuse completely away. But wait,
Gabe just did it. Right? Come on, like, you can't do it either. I don't know.
Is Gabe Tardio the best player in the world? He might be right now.
I don't know.
He might be. If you told me I had to pick one person, I think he might be at the top of the list.
I don't know. I'm a 3.0 player, so I couldn't tell you.
For now, 4.2.
Stop.
You earned that 4.2.
It's blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, hey, I played in a 5-0 tournament, got bronze a month ago.
Take it.
It was great until my duper dropped the whole point. I went from 4.82 to 4.72. After that, I'm like,
congrats
wow.
on the medal.
Yeah. So I obviously.
What more do you want from me?
I got to play better competition.
Right.
Their dupers were too low.
Oh my god!
And that is one of the issues with the algorithm.
Yeah. So, no, but it's God, it's like it sucks for MLP because I want the Johns to do well. Again, I'm a fan of Jessie Irvine, but it's just like it sucks seeing that on TV, and I feel like it's awkward too for the other teams as well. Just trying to see that, just seeing that. Well, I don't know if it's like awkward for the other teams, but it's just like. I kind of feel bad for their own, like just for their teammates.
I feel bad for everyone on the team. I mean, I saw them at DC MLP from the back baseline, front row, watched their whole match, and just, I felt bad. No one was having a good time. They act like they didn't want to be there. The whole vibe of the team was just like, could we leave as fast as possible, please? Yeah,
exactly. Win or lose, just get me off this damn court.
Yeah, that's it.
I think another thing too, like I don't know if their PR team can say anything about this and just be like, hey, like you gotta, up the intensity, the enthusiasm, something. I think it was Annalie Waters. I don't know. I think it was the last tournament, but she said something in like her post-match interview, and it was like, "Hey, I also wanted to apologize about the way I acted in my loss against Hurricane Tyra Black. I think it was like last year or something.
Yeah, where she just walked off.
Yeah, she just walked off. She threw her paddle at her mom. She was like clapping and just like cheering, and everyone was like, "Wait, what?" It just took away the entire spotlight from Tyra, just beating her. Like everyone was shocked, but the entire conversation was about Annalie Waters. But it's just one of those things too. It's like maybe there needs to be a talk with like the PR team just to It's like it's just not a good look for you, man. Like, I
Well,
don't know what to tell you.
that was Zane Navratil's point.
Yeah.
That I absolutely loved is that you're the face of pickleball.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
making millions of dollars a year to play pickleball.
Like, people would kill to be in your position.
You need to be smiling through this.
Exactly. Win or lose, it's like, like the opportunity you have right now is like insane.
Yes.
People would kill. I would kill to be in that position.
Well, that's it. We're grinding away in a basement here for $0.
Exactly.
But we're having fun with it, baby.
Oh my god.
So, yep, that's the Johns brothers. That's Anna Lee. Anna Lee's an unbelievable player. Johns brothers are awesome.
Of course.
Yeah, no hate their way. But at the same time, I do think they can do better. And for them to be called out, it holds them accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
So next thing I had on my list is we have a new governing body in pickleball,
That's so
the
confusing.
UPA, right?
UPAA.
Yeah, that's right.
UPA-A.
That's it. and the UPAA, in all their grandeur and wisdom, have decided that let's get into bed with Eula and
Eula, Onyx, like Vulcan, all the it's just, oh my god.
But
no,
look,
it's just Eula. It's just Eula,
it's
right?
just Eula. It's just Eula.
Just
And
Eula.
they came through and they're like, okay, these illegal paddles that USAP said is so terrible. Well, those are our first ones we're going to approve. And oh, by the way, you have to pay us $100,000 per year for approval. And I'm just throwing out a number. I understand that's not the exact number out there, guys. So don't hate me in the comments. But if you have 8 or 10 paddles in your line, which many of the companies do out there, that's about what it's going to end up costing you.
Yeah. And I think it was like what, like a couple $1,000s or something, like per paddle.
On top of that, and it's like $8,000 per month on top. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
so if you're a smaller paddle company, it's just like, this is impossible.
Well, that's it. And I'm friendly with a couple of guys like Dave Greschel of 11624. I mean, Johnny of Own Pickleball, the paddle right behind you.
Yeah.
I mean, these are companies that are creative and innovative. They're making good products,
for
but
sure.
you're going to stifle their ability to grow and be in the pro game by charging such an outrageous amount of money for their paddles to be used in a pro match.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think Selkirk, I know Selkirk came out with a letter against it. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm just hearsaying it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what they said was right on, is that we're in the infancy of this, and you can't stifle the little guys, the innovators in this, as we're coming up. And it seemed like a gross money grab. And for their first move as a governing body, it reminds me of our American democracy. Just shit on a stick. It is like, how corrupt can you be? This first move just didn't look good to me.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm one of these smaller paddle companies, I'm just like, oh, geez. It's just another hurdle for us. Like, it's just, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
So I'm hoping that they see the error of their ways, and before next year, when they actually become a real governing body and start influencing the game a little more heavily, that they're going to make some different decisions.
Yeah. And it sucks too, because like, you can't even use that paddle outside of PPA.
No,
Yeah,
my buddy Tyler just got the new Yola 3S or whatever it is, and I just laughed and I said, "Why'd you buy that?"
Yeah, like if you go online, it's just like basically every single paddle is like sold out from the 3S, from the 3S line. And then I just got an email for our tournament this weekend. It's like, hey guys, we're excited to host you at the Put-Away this weekend out in Millersville, Maryland. Make sure your paddles are US APA approved. I'm like, oh, there you go.
Nailed it.
Useless. I hope you have a backup.
Nailed it. And that's what I was telling him. I was like, how are you going to get good with that paddle when you can only play PPA or MLP events? There really aren't that many minor league MLP events currently. Sure. And I mean, I play a good bit of tournaments. I consider myself a tournament player, and I might play 2 or 3 PPAs a year.
Yeah.
Are you going to have one special paddle for those events?
Exactly.
No.
Just leading up to that tournament, you're just going to take it out of the bag and just go crazy with it for 2 weeks leading up to it? No, you're not going to do that.
Yep. And furthermore, I think that the heat on the paddles needs to be taken back a little bit.
Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. Those Gen 3 paddles, I mean, I will say, I was playing with like a 14 millimeter Hyperion. It was like a rocket.
Yeah.
An absolute rocket.
Was that a Gen? That's not a Gen 3. That was just a 2.
No, the Yola, the Yola Gen 3.
Okay, it came out in a 14 and a 16. Gotcha.
The ones that got delisted from USAPA.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think I was hitting at like 50% with that thing. Well, and I was like, oh my God.
Well, I played last night with this guy named Han locally. Shout out to you, Han. You hit it hard, bro.
Yeah, no, I know him.
Yeah, and he was playing with a Ripple. last night. The one that was just approved by USAPA. And dude, that ball was coming so hard and so fast and dipping. It was almost impossible for this old guy to keep my paddle up with it. I was getting him back, but probably like 6 out of 10. That's not the kind of rate that any other paddle on a drive is giving.
If I'm Han, I like those numbers.
Yeah, of course. He was smiling the whole time. He loves it. I mean, well, the other thing is, like everyone who plays me, he likes to try to light me up the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like the harder he can hit at me, because he knows that's my game too. It's like, I want to hit it hard at you and scare you, so you start stepping back off the line.
I know. That's me. I'll step off the line. The couple times I've played him, I'm just like, oh, please don't drive it at me.
Yes. Oh, and you know it's coming.
Exactly. He sees like one body bag. He sees one chicken wing. He starts smiling. He's like, okay, yep, gotcha. I got you now. Like, for the love of God.
Yeah, so that's kind of the happenings of the summer. If you guys haven't kept up with that, you know, it's been a drama-filled summer, but not nearly what we had last year, where there was the whole pickleball takeover and all the fun stuff that happened there. I'm glad that stuff's behind us. All right. So now I wanted to get into the Vizzy Atlanta Slam. The weekend, this past weekend, we had another PPA tournament, and there was some phenomenal play. And as opposed to really going heavy through the brackets, I did pull it up, and I think we should talk about the brackets here. Yeah. But basically, the men's bracket is week in and week out, there are different teams winning. And I think it creates such a fun product to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've got a ton of dynamic men player out there who are playing in a different way, playing really hard, playing really soft. Actually, I'll take it back. The soft game doesn't seem to be that dominant kind of feel. I think Matt Wright still tries to play that way, but a lot of the younger guys are hitting it hard, following it up and shaking back.
Especially from like a right side player as well. Yeah. If you have like, you know, two righties playing together. But oh my God, unbelievable stuff, you know, from the men's division. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got JW and Dylan who are consistent. So I wanted to go through, like, I would say the top 5 teams right now, JW and Dylan. You've got Ben and Colin.
Yeah.
Right. You've got Tyson and Jame. I don't know if I would put them in a top 5, but they played lights out this weekend.
Yeah. And they don't really play together as consistently, though.
Yeah, right? But they've played a little more together.
Yeah, okay.
And I think we might see that a lot more. The duo I like is Deckelbar and Ignatowicz. I think they're a top 5 team. And they're also our DC pickleball team.
Oh, jeez.
So a little bit of a homer pick there.
Right.
And then you've got Hayden and whoever he's playing with. This past weekend, he played Pablo with Pablo, and they were a great team. And then, of course, you've got Gabe Tardio and Diescu.
Yeah, who've been on fire this year.
Dude, and they just play so well together. Now, my question to you is, do you think that team is great because of Diescu or Gabe?
I want to say it's because of Gabe.
Okay.
I almost want to say it's because of Gabe, but I think he is really changing the aspect of a right side player, where instead of just being, you know, very cautious and setting, you know, points up, he's being very, very aggressive, you know, up the middle and just doing whatever he can to just, you know, shake things up and just, you know, take control of the court.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I've noticed in watching a lot of the matches against the Johns Bros is they have come up with, there's just a new blueprint on how to beat them, which is aggressively dink behind Ben, get him moving all around, and attack Colin.
Yeah.
And people are figuring that out, and Colin's having a hard time. He's always been great at that backhand counter.
For sure, of course.
But when you have 3 or 4 balls coming at you, that first counter doesn't work most of the time with these guys. And Tardio's hands are so good.
Yeah, so fast. It's unbelievable. But, you know, shout out to Ben and Colin, you know, amazing tournament, you know, amazing, you know, comeback for them as well. I think it's been a couple months, you know, it's been like a rough summer for them for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, but for them to, you know, run off a gold medal, you know, at a slam, definitely shuts all the haters up.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, if it's every single term, it's like, oh, it's done for them. People are catching up. I'm just like, let's calm it down. You know, I'm not the biggest Ben and Colin fan myself, but let's just calm down a little bit. You know, I think they're the best minds in the game. They're going to figure out a solution.
Well, and they had some big wins. I mean, they took down Tardio and Diescu this weekend.
In quarters, exactly.
Yep, that was a really good win. They took down Riley and Christian, which, by the way, I should have put them in that top 5. That is a great team.
Great team.
I mean, and the other cool thing that I noticed playing or watching Christian play is that his right side play is very similar to Tardio. But he speeds up forehand across court to the right-hand side player on the other side. Yeah. And it is vicious. He must have body bagged. I forget who they were playing, but he got him so many times because his forehand dink in the middle, it's kind of almost between his legs and it looks the same, but all of a sudden he can flick it so hard and kind of hide it. So that's a money shot out of him and something that I'm going to try to incorporate in my game.
Yeah, please don't do it. As long as I'm on your team, that's fine.
Yes. Well, and that's a cool point. When you guys are watching pickleball, I hope that you're just watching individual points. Like Jonathan Trung is a local pro that I've had on the pod, and that's what he talks about. He watches multiple matches over and over again because there are certain players that he's trying to learn shots from. And I think that's really a good idea. If you're going to spend the time to watch pickleball, make it a learning opportunity as well. And so that's something I'm going to try to incorporate in my game, which shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, I mean, just a little flick. The problem is when you get to 5-5, the guys hit it back at you harder.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a different world.
Yeah, exactly. I'll try it and it goes into the opposite court. Like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
So the Johns Bros end up winning it this past weekend. That was awesome. And they beat Martinez Vic and Tyson's, who made a run all the way to Championship Sunday, which was awesome for them.
Bit of an underwhelming match.
That's an understatement. They did get pickled in the second game, I believe.
Yeah.
And but they came back firing in game 3, which was cool to see, and didn't just roll over it. At one point, I was like, man, this is going to be a 3-game, 30-minute match because it was going really fast.
I saw that pickle in the second game, and I was like, I think I'm just going to get lunch right now. Just come back to the score later. This is bad.
That's it. So Johns Bros still have it, but there are a bunch of really good teams nipping at their heels.
Oh, for sure, for sure. There's definitely teams now that that are keeping them honest. They have to make adjustments.
Yep.
And I think the biggest question has been Colin Johns on the right side. Is he going to do more than just dink and reset?
Yeah, he has to at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I've noticed he's been trying to do a lot more speed ups down the line and keep guys.
I saw that a lot.
Yeah, but he was missing as much as he was making.
Yeah, I think it was the first point of the final.
Yes, it was.
I remember it was like down the line speed up and went long, and I was like, I like it though. Yeah. I like it, but that's what you have to do.
Correct.
You have to be a bit more aggressive. You can't just let Ben waste all of his energy. Just taking control of the entire court, winning every single point off his paddle. Like, you have to help him out in some way, shape, or form.
Well, and Tyson and Jamais, it was interesting to watch. I feel like in the first two, and I'm glad you brought that point up because it's something I wanted to talk about, is they came into the match trying not to lose, is what it seemed like. They had been firing through people. Jamais has amazing hands, so like Tyson can speed up anything and he's going to get it back. Yeah. And they just got away from that and seemed like they let the Johns aura or stigma or whoever, their machismo kind of take over on the court. They didn't play their game, but after they got pickled, they woke up, played at least a game solid and whipped them pretty good. But yeah, you've got to be aggressive. You can't go out on the court. And I tell this to myself all the time, especially in singles, is like you play not to lose, you're going to lose. Yeah, exactly. You got to play to win.
But I think that's just the formula for beating them. You just have to play some really aggressive pickleball. Yeah. I think a couple tournaments ago, you see it with, the Alshon and Kwang Duong, pairing. It just, wow. Yeah. Insane stuff. They beat them all 3 games, straight sets.
Oh, yeah.
But just firing on all cylinders.
Well, and it's got to be demoralizing when you have a team that's just shoving it down your throat. Yeah, I mean, I know I've hit those teams in tournaments before at like the 4-5-5-0 level. Yeah. And man, it's just tough when you're halfway through the game. The game's lasted 4 minutes and they're up 7-0. And all they've done is drive and crash. Yeah. But for some reason, you pop them all up. And it's like, Jesus, come on. Help me.
I think Ben and Colin, I think they might have said it maybe in a video or a podcast maybe a couple months ago, but I think they mentioned that I think they really enjoy playing against Dylan and J-Dub.
Yeah, that's right, because they're playing their style.
They play their game. That's right. The thing. It's really long, extended dink rallies. So they fall into the Johns' game plan, which is what they like. Yeah. Right. But then they play teams like, Tardio, Deescu, Riley Newman, and Alshon. I think Hayden and Alshon got a win against them this season as well. Yep. They play all these teams that are just crushing the ball at them, just keeping them honest, keeping them on their feet, going behind Ben. It starts to make things, really difficult for them.
Yeah, well, and this is why I started it out saying I don't know if Ben is going to end the year as the number one player in the world, whether it be in doubles or singles. There's just too many guys that are good at this point.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, the ladies side, it's completely different. So let's flip over to mixed doubles before we get into the full gender doubles of ladies, because there's really not a ton to talk about. Spoiler alert. Same person wins over and over again. She's so good. But in mixed doubles, there are some guys that are stepping up and playing really, really well. And some teams that are playing really, really well. So like Staxrud and Rachel Rohrbacher.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a solid team. And Rachel has come out of nowhere. She was MLP drafted last year.
Yeah, I knew a lot of people, were, I guess questioning that.
Yeah.
Or like this random girl came out, I get she played Division I tennis, but like no one knew who she was. I think she was picked by Anna Bright or something, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, she's really proven everyone wrong, really turned some heads for sure this year.
Yeah. And she's, I'm realizing, as you just said Anna Bright's name, that there is things to talk about in women's double. I'm such an idiot. Dope. And that they won this week, but we'll get there.
We'll get there eventually.
So you've got that team who's made consistent runs.
Yeah.
Hayden, again, I just want to talk about, not because he was playing with Leah Jancis this weekend, which I think was his downfall. But he's been making a pretty solid run with most of the ladies, and he's such a dynamic player.
Insane hands.
Insane. Just and his machismo, dude, his shit talking,
he's in high school.
All the things. Yes.
He's a high school kid. Like what is this?
It's good stuff, man.
Oh my God.
His mom has told him he's great since he was born.
Right. He has such a great attitude.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I love the kid. He's amazing.
So you got Annalie and Ben as a constant top and winner. They made it back to the finals again this week. And then you've got Georgia and JW, who have struggled, but always a good team.
Yeah.
The deal is
they're just always there. They just can't get over the finish line.
Well, and they have to play Ben and Annalie a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they don't see Ben and Annalie before Championship Sunday, you're going to see them there. Yeah. Oftentimes, it's like they have a mental block on them.
Exactly.
For some reason. And I know Georgia's letting them up, and I know they've beaten them once. But like 1 and I don't know their record against Ben and AL, like 1 and 25.
Something, it's something like I think I know they had 1 win against them this year or something.
Yeah.
And then there was another game where they just like squandered so many match points. But I mean, it's just they have their number. Like there's no way else, to put it. Like it is what it is. Like just Ben and Annalie, they know what to do.
But the other team that I really wanted to talk about was Deckel and Tina Pisnik. Deckel's had a great year this year. He's been making very consistent runs. We knew he was a great player. But Pisnik has come out of nowhere with those backhand slices and just being that like consistent person that she needs to be in mixed doubles. And they've been making runs to quarters and finals like very consistently this year. So solid mixed doubles team. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was Daskew and Megan Dizon. The Proton players come together. They're both Proton sponsored.
I hate that paddle.
Do you really? Why?
It's just so ugly.
Oh, dude, I actually like it. Well,
it's such an ugly paddle.
When were you born, Ryan?
95.
Okay, there you missed out on all the great 80s with the bright neon colors, neon pink and yellow.
There's only
and
one
green.
paddle from Proton that I would buy. I think it's like black. It's like a black and gold colorway.
Wow, it's so boring.
One of my friends was playing with it. I think it was like the cotton candy colorway. It was like blue. It was like
the
baby
blue and pink one. That's the one I like.
I'll get that paddle away from me.
It's so good. I love it.
I also get body bagged with it like every single time.
Well, the spin on those paddles are legit.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's a weird surface. It's kind of like a rubbery texture or something.
Yeah, it feels like a ping pong paddle.
Yeah, interesting paddle, but I mean, it's working, I guess.
Yeah, but you don't like the colors.
I just don't like the colors.
All
I just can't deal with it.
So if you're going to bring Ryan a gift, he likes black T-shirts and black T-shirts only.
Please do. Yeah. That's it. It's the key to my heart right there.
But Dizon and Daskew have teamed up, and they've been making solid runs. Again, not getting finals, not even really a lot of semifinals, but it's tough.
But they're just getting through the draw, though. They're just staying consistent,
Yep. That's exactly right.
There's no like early round losses for the most part, but it's a consistent team. You don't want to see them in your first round matchup.
Yeah, and I think pro pickleball in general is getting more and more that way, where every match is a fight, all the way from the round of 64 in. There's a lot of guys, like I got James Broker, a good friend of mine, who's playing a lot of the play-ins, and just he's making main draws. Yeah, it's just that first round is. He had to play Jack Sock and Colin Schick in Raleigh. And it's like, holy cow, get smacked real fast.
It's It's great learning. It has to be a great learning experience, though.
Oh, for sure. And he's having a blast doing it, too.
Yeah.
So,
That's
go
awesome.
James. Shout out to you, big dog. So, let's flip over to women's dubs because there was something to talk about this week. Forgive me, guys. Don't roast me in the comments. But Anna Bright and Rachel Rohrbacher took it down.
Yeah.
And they beat Parento and
thank
Annalie
goodness.
Waters. Now, did you get to see any of this match?
I saw a couple, I saw like the highlights,
Yeah.
from the match. I watched maybe like the end of, the final set.
Okay.
The final game.
What was your take? What was different? Were they just more consistent in the end?
I think it was just more consistent. They were really setting up a lot of shots, against Parento. I think that's one of Parento's downfalls as well, is she's maybe a little bit too defensive.
Okay.
She goes into firefights, she starts, stepping back off the kitchen line and, starts resetting. But just, that's the thing. You know what Anna Bright's going to bring to the table every single day.
Yeah.
So for them, I think it really came down to Rachel Rohrbacher and how consistent, she was going to be and how locked in, she could stay, from the first point all the way to the last point.
Well, and Anna Bright is, to me, the most impressive female player over the past year or so in Most Improved.
Yeah.
And that her attitude is amazing. She's really funny. When you get to see interviews, or I've gotten to talk to her at a couple of tournaments, and, she's a fun person to talk to. She doesn't seem to want to run away. But her game is unbelievable. She is a ferocious competitor and can back it up with the skills.
Exactly. Her and Rachel Rohrbacher is it's such an amazing team. So it's such a fun team to watch as well. Their energy on the court is unmatched.
That's it. They love each other. From the photo shoot. I mean,
that was a good photo shoot.
It's so good. And it says something. So when you're
great team chemistry.
Yeah, you've got to have chemistry out there.
Sure.
And, I've said this over and over again, and everyone makes, I play with a guy named Gaurav, we call him G. It's an Indian guy. And, dude, for some reason, when we step on the court together, we click. He gets the way I want to play. He understands what I want to do. Same with him. And we get good results together. Yeah. And so we've found that team chemistry, and it's hard to find. And yet I've played with other guys where I walk away going, I'll never do that again.
Yeah. I was that was bad.
That was really bad. It wasn't
I
even
just
the play.
needed one game to experience it, and that was it. Just one game.
I'll never forget. This is going to be a long pod, by the way, guys. But I was playing early on in a men's league with one of my partners, and we were getting smacked. And I was pissed. I wasn't playing well, and I took a timeout and I walked away. And just I had to go get some water. I walked off the court. Needed to take a moment for myself. But my partner stood on the court. And he didn't come talk to me. Yeah. And, he was just kind of hanging out, waiting around like, dude, what's your problem? Yeah. Pull it together. And after the match, I just grabbed him and said, if I take a timeout and leave the court, you are to come with me.
Exactly.
At that moment, I need you to come and say, it's going to be okay, Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah. New strategy or something, just say some words of encouragement, something.
Anything. Yeah. Anything. And that guy
and you
knows
think
who
it's
he
common
is.
sense, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Right.
But in that moment, maybe he was heated. I was playing shitty. And he was like, golly,
this guy Brian sucks. No, I'm joking.
But regardless, come off the court and let's be a team together.
For sure.
And that was a learning experience for me because, I need someone that's going to lift me up as we go through the match, because I'm going to have down moments. I'm going to get tight.
It happens.
Yeah.
The other team is going to get hot. That's just the nature of pickleball. You're going to have a couple points that just don't go your way. It is what it is.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. And then women's singles, ALW won it again.
Yep. Next topic.
Yeah,
no,
exactly. No, I mean, really, she kind of rips through the whole thing. It's unbelievable.
I don't understand it. It's just insane. This girl is 17 years old. She's going up against Division I, athletes, women that have even played on the WTA tour.
That's right.
That have played on huge international levels, and she's just running through them so easily. I'm like, it's insane.
When she hits as hard as a guy,
literally.
And, I mean, really, a lot of the guys.
I don't think there's anyone on the on the women's side that can hit as hard as her.
Yeah.
Her on the run, I can slam a forehand down the line. Get her on the dead run, I still wouldn't move up to the kitchen because I there's this part of me that knows that she's gonna pass me. Oh yeah, 9 times out of 10. There's no way I'm getting it. There's no way.
So ALW wins it. Yeah. She's the best. I will say, who was it? Shout out to 2 players. Paris Todd. She played really well, and she has been playing really well.
Player, but that was again same thing. Underwhelming final.
Agreed. And Lacey Schneeman, I wanted to shout her out too. She's been playing really good singles recently and really good doubles.
Right,
She's one of those girls who on the come up.
Punch.
Yeah, she hits it really, really hard. She's playing with that Eula paddle too. That doesn't hurt. That Mod Gen 3 is what it should be called, not TA15.
Yeah, thank you, UPA. I'm just joking.
No, I mean it's legit. Deckel's playing with it too, and I play it with that paddle. It is very illegal in my opinion.
Yeah,
it hits so hard. So
16 millimeter too.
Yeah, it's
what
like
it is. Truck.
It is what it is. And then men's singles, Hunter Johnson.
You did it,
dude. That
shut up all the critics.
I mean, okay. Paris is playing really good singles.
Right.
Her boyfriend Hunter makes a run and wins it. Is there something there? Are they playing singles together all the time?
I have that final was insane.
It's so good.
I thought it was going to be a wash because you see the first game, he wins 11-2, like pretty comfortably.
Yep.
It didn't seem like Connor had any answer for anything.
You can't count Garnett out though. He's so scrappy.
Exactly. And then you lose the second game. It's pretty tight. It's 11-8. And then what is he? He's down like what? 06? 07 in the third? Dude. And then he comes back and wins it.
Yeah.
Like if I win the first game comfortably and I lose a tight one in the second, that's tough. Now you're down, like you're on the verge of you're in pickle territory right now.
Yeah, that's
right.
He
comes back from the brink and takes it.
Well, dude, I love it for Hunter because again, I don't know him personally. He seems like a really nice guy.
For sure.
But he's been hated on by many of the podcasts over the past 12 to 18 months as an inferior player. And you've watching him get better and better week in and week out. His singles has always been really good. His doubles is getting better.
The potential has always been there.
Yeah. And he comes through and takes that W, man. I love it.
I think that was his first one, right?
Yeah.
His first
in
win.
PPA.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a slam.
Yep.
Look at that.
Nah, it's really good stuff. Connor Garnett has been playing amazing. Stackrud, amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Ben gets smacked early, which makes me happy.
Yeah, Grayson playing amazing. Grayson Golden, shout out,
dude. That's a name. That's a name we're gonna hear a lot of, though.
Yeah,
that kid is really good. I watched a couple of his matches, and he's tall, he's long, he hits the ball hard. He's got like all the skills. And so
with a name like that, you can't lose. Grayson Golden, right?
Yep, it's pretty money.
Come on,
it's pretty money.
You got to see him in championship Sunday one time.
Oh, we will. We definitely will. It's. I mean, I don't know how long he's been playing, but I don't think that long. And so his game's going to get better and better. We'll see more and more of them. I know what I wanted to talk to you about, though, as I'm looking at my notes. Did you have any, like, immediate reaction to Ben walking off the court? Like, the way he did? It seemed, like, did you see it?
I didn't see it personally, but, I mean, I got, like, the notification about it.
So he literally, half walks out on the court and is like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Turns around, grabs his bag and just walks away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like no justification, no like I need a medical timeout.
Yeah,
just like
just calls it quits.
I'm done.
Exactly.
And it was kind of a gross look where it's like, all right, take a medical timeout, see if you can stretch it out, feel it. Like at least make me feel like you want to play the rest of the match.
Give it a shot, right?
Yeah, right.
Just try for the fans, right?
But I didn't get that vibe.
Jeez.
I didn't get that vibe. And just, again, it's one of those, like, the face of pickleball, man.
I want to like Ben Johns.
I do, too.
He's a local guy. I want to like him.
I mean, I'm going to Lima, Peru with Georgia. And, that announcement will be coming soon. Yeah, I haven't even said anything about that yet.
What?
But, yes. So, next pod, I will announce what's going on with Lima, Peru. But very, very cool opportunity, and I'm going to vlog the whole thing. So it should be really fun. Well, we'll see how well I do at vlogging. I'm quite amateur, so we'll see if I get roasted or not. So yeah, that's men's singles, and that's what I have for the tournament this week. Ryan, you got anything else you want to share with the listeners before we close things out?
No, there's nothing on my end. Well, first podcast, really happy to be on board. I think it was, a success so far. I had a great time chatting it up with you.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Looking forward to the next one.
It's money, dude.
Let's do it.
And if you guys have made it this far, we appreciate you. And just take a moment to hit the like button, subscribe to the pod, tell me about all the things I did wrong. I know you guys love doing that. And just say what's up to Ryan. Maybe you guys can roast him this week versus me.
Yeah. Catch me around the DMV area. You can just body bag me. Everyone does it. So it's fine. Don't worry.
That's it. Maybe we'll have to change our pod to like body bag podcast or something. Because that's what they want to do to me too. Well, until next time. See you guys. Peace.
See you.